Hi guys, welcome to Real Football Talk. I'm Hassan. I have Adil with me. We'll be discussing the Man City versus Chelsea game. For those of you watching, please make sure you subscribe and like our videos, and please share it out to your family and friends. Adil, fascinating game. Loads of tactical changes and maybe experiments. What did you make of that lineup from Man City? Going with one midfielder.
Yeah, I thought it was a more a wing back 5-1-3-1 system rather than 5-1-4, which as in four strikers. The way the commentators were saying, I didn't think it was. I thought it was actually three tens and Jesus up top with the wing back system. And yeah, I thought on Wednesday that after Chelsea got to the final, I actually predicted that Pep will kind of chance his arm and try a few things out because I thought in the FA Cup they got comprehensively dominated. Even though the second half they built a bit of pressure, they never created proper chances for me. Or not, they never looked like they were the team that was going to win. It was quite comfortable result for Chelsea. So I think I always thought Pep's going to use this opportunity to try and experiment and try and look at different options. And for the best part, the changes he made a difference in the first half. So what they did was like I said, they played the 3-10s, and they were getting Torres to come in quite deep to pick it up. So what that did was that kept making
Alonso.
no Rudiger.
Oh, Rudiger.
That
Okay.
made Rudiger keep following him in because the youngster Chelsea
Gilmore.
Gilmore was picking up Aguero and
Kante was picking up Sterling.
yeah, well, he's meant to be. But what happened was Kante kept getting sucked in by Rodri. So then what happened was every single time they're bypassing the whole Chelsea midfield, going straight into Sterling, and then Sterling's turning in and running at the City defenders.
Chelsea defender. Yeah.
Chelsea defenders. So yeah, so what happened was the system was working, what they're trying to do, and the other one they were doing was also then playing the ball over the top to Jesus or Aguero. But quite a lot of times when they played that ball over the top, they were sending it out wide too much. So City's balls over the top wasn't that accurate. The only time they got it slightly central led to the led to the goal.
But Adi, quick question on this, because if you look at the one in midfield, anyone would think that, oh, Chelsea got two in middle, surely they're just going to dominate, just pass around them and beat that man. So how did kind of Man City counteract that thing in terms of blocking those positions and blocking Gilmore and Kante from breaking?
No, because they had the 3-10s. So what happened was they had so what they were doing was when Chelsea were playing it out towards the defenders, one of the 10s would go and join in the press, and Jesus would press the other two. So say like when it goes from, let's just say
it goes
Rudiger, if it goes from Rudiger to Christiansen, and then from Christiansen to Azpilicueta, by the time it goes to Azpilicueta, one of the 10s will come across and close it down. Right. But you still have two 10s. You can still got Aguero, and you still got Torres picking up Gilmore and
Kante.
Kante, yes. So what effectively what happened was they were forcing Chelsea to go long. So the whole first half, Chelsea kept going long or trying to play in behind Mendy on the right hand side. But because they played three at the back, Ake kept getting to it before Pulisic. And so Chelsea really struggled to get any rhythm in their attacking play because of the way City were pressing, and they pinned the wing backs into effectively 5 at the back for most of that half. So what happened was, because there's no out ball, they ended up just clearing it every time because they couldn't get into the midfielders. So it end up always going to Alonso or always going to James, and because they had no options, they just ended up hoofing it. So that was the main way City dominated that first half, but not overly dominated in terms of creating chances. But they were the team that's putting their game.
I mean, but still, I mean, obviously, Man City go and get that first goal. I mean, Aguero makes a mess of it, but Sterling was there to help him out. And then Aguero gets a penalty. I mean, do you think that was a key moment? Because obviously, if they go into halftime 2-0, you can pretty much say, "Oh, game done and over." Do you think that was?
I don't think you would say game's done and over. The way Chelsea played in that second half and the way this Chelsea team
No, but obviously it wouldn't have been.
I just don't think they're a team that you can put away easily.
Okay.
2-0 wouldn't phase them, but clearly that would have given them a City a lot more confidence. I mean, suddenly you're going in at half time and everyone's pissed off about the penalty, and
yeah,
it's a negative. At the end of the day, from something that should have been nothing but a positive first half, they probably went in negative, and you can see how annoyed Pep Guardiola was. So that in terms of maybe changing the momentum, it had an effect in changing the momentum. But I wouldn't say, even if he scored, I wouldn't say definitely Chelsea were out of the game, because I've seen enough of Chelsea to see that they've got a fight in them. They'll come back. They only need the one goal, and suddenly they'll be back in. And they showed it. Second half, the adjustments Tuchel made again, excellent adjustments.
What did he change? What did Tuchel change? The second half.
So what he did was he made sure. So what they did, they made sure this time Alonso and James weren't getting pinned back, so they pushed forward.
Okay, right.
So then what happened was, there was always there was now 4 passes through the middle. It sounds simple just to say, just pushing the wing backs a lot more forward. But what that meant was the back three had to take more risks with keeping the ball and stretch the 110 who keeps coming out and Jesus. And that's what they're doing. So the back three were keeping the ball a lot more between them, and they're going back to Mendy, the goalkeeper, a lot more. So what's happened was that was creating the angles for them then to go into Gilmour or Kante or James or Alonso. So that's what really. So what happened was they started to pass around the press of City, and City got tired very quickly. And I thought second half Gilmour was absolutely exceptional.
But what you said, Adu, is key, because I mean, if you see the performance of James from the first half to the second half, it was completely different in terms of he was getting more involved, he was getting the ball more, and he was beating that man that was trying to press him because he was further up.
I mean, Benjamin Mendy, he absolutely was blitzed him the second half. I mean, he terrorized him, and Mendy could not handle the dribbling power and the running in behind of James, and that was the thing. Off the ball, they made the big adjustments too. What happened? Azpilicueta went in tight on Sterling. So what happens? That move that they were doing, where every time effectively Sterling ends up being free, because Sterling and Torres weren't playing as the normal City way as wingers. They're playing as 10, so they're really narrow. So what happened was, no one was picking up Sterling in the first half. Second half, Azpilicueta was man marking him tight. So then what happened was, and every time the ball got played into Sterling, Azpilicueta was all over him and winning the ball back.
I mean, he's one-on-one defending.
Yeah, I mean, at one point, because Sterling kept putting his arms out, Azpilicueta was defending, completely crouching down under his arms. I was like, you know, and them had a real good battle in the second half, which Azpilicueta definitely won that battle.
I think one individual I wanted to mention. I mean, you kind of touched up on Gilmore, 18-year-old, just come back from injury. You just said it. I mean, his performance in the
Yeah,
second half.
I thought he was quite poor in the first half, if I'll be honest. He wasn't really showing for the ball much, and he wasn't, you know, he wasn't really helping out the team. But second half, he really put himself around, really took risks, showed composure on the ball, turned the City pressing, and because the thing is with Kante is the weak link, as in if you're trying to get Kante to beat the press, he's going to either lose the ball or what we saw against Real Madrid is what's the best scenario, where he just turns and runs and dribbles into the back. If he tries to pass around the press or keep the ball and protect it, he'll end up losing it. So Gilmore really stepped up, and again, Tuchel was really good. The moment they equalized and he realized, okay, City are going to try and, you know, try and wrest the initiative back. He brought Jorginho in for Kante straight away. And then suddenly they had two playmakers on the pitch. And I mean, Jorginho is one of the most improved players for me since Tuchel's come in. A part of his game that we didn't see much of is his balls over the top, the two balls over the top. And it's really good. It's flighted. Always got the right spin on it. He's showing like real class at the moment, and good form. So he came on, and that just helped them to kick on again.
I mean, they won it right at the end. Great win for Chelsea again, 2-0 to Tuchel.
And it's fully deserved. It's fully deserved because that second half they created numerous opportunities, and yeah, City players got tired. City players looked a bit.
I mean, they made 9 changes to the team they had. I mean, it's
yeah, but
much say it's a new team they're playing, and even then, that team still looks good enough.
No, but that team's been playing regularly because they've been playing the Premier League games, so it's not like they're really undercooked. Maybe the ones who came back from injury,
Aki and Aguero, you can say, undercooked,
But you know, at the end of the day, he didn't have to make that many in it. I mean, Tuchel played a day later and still, you know, played a lot of the same lineup. I mean, and that's the risk. You see Christensen going off with what looks like a hamstring. So that's the risk of, you know, having playing players and not rotating as much, as maybe you'll get 1 or 2 injuries.
I mean, let's quickly touch up on in terms of what this means, what this game means for the final, because obviously we talked about kind of Pep experimenting with this game in terms of what he could do and how he could change it. What do you think he will take from this game? Because obviously for the final, this is 2 times Tuchel, he tried something different. Tuchel still ended up beating him.
He actually looked bemused in the second half. Like, he sat down and you could tell he was really thinking, how am I gonna beat this? How am I gonna, you know, because Tuchel seems to have an answer all the time to whatever I do. So I think he's gonna go back to the drawing boards. I don't think he's got an answer sussed yet. He's gonna look into finding something different. Clearly, getting the big guns back is gonna make a huge difference anyway. So I wouldn't overread into it. But the thing is, these results are just going to increase the self-belief.
What I'm saying is, in terms of mentally, that must have an effect. Just not on.
I don't. I think it's going to have more an effect on the Chelsea players in terms of increasing their self-belief that they can beat this team. But I don't think it's going to have an effect in the final as other than that, because of the fact that all the big guns weren't playing today. So if it happened to the big guns, then fine, they'll be carrying that. But I think, you know, soon as you have De Bruyne on the pitch, it's a different game. You know, you got Sterling dribbling and running into the defenders. You know, you're not gonna see De Bruyne do stuff like that. I mean, he's
It's
gonna
not the same.
you give De Bruyne that space, he's gonna punish you. So um,
I
there's a
mean,
huge difference between the
there was a
first team and the back.
lot of time. I mean, you can see that if it was a Bernardo Silva or a like say for instance Riyad Mahrez cutting on from the right and stuff, it would have been a different outcome or something different because I mean Torres or Jesus, whoever was cutting in, it just never looked like they were going to threaten or anything.
Yeah, it's a bit predictable. They don't have that flair, that creativity, and the intelligence. The thing is, those aren't players that play with intelligence. I mean, Sterling doesn't play with much intelligence, nor does Jesus.
Jesus,
You
yeah.
know, and that's why it's pretty predictable what they're gonna do. And most of the time, they're always gonna go solo and try and take a shot. The thing with even though Maris takes a lot of shots, he's so good at selling the pass, selling the cross. You know that and he does do it. He does keep you honest by doing it enough times to make you think twice.
I did that feint he does. Him and Bernardo Silva, that feint they do is just something
Yeah,
mesmerizing.
and then the chop,
You know, like
the chop they do
it
after
sells
that.
you completely.
Yeah. So I think it'll be a different game in the final, but for Chelsea and for Tuchel, it's just going to increase their self-belief that because it's one thing winning 1-0 in the FA Cup, it's another thing coming back for 1-0 down at the Etihad.
Yeah.
That's just going to really, the players are going to buy into Tuchel a lot more. They're going to know, look, we know we can beat this. So I think definitely for Chelsea players, it will have give them more confidence. The main thing Tuchel needs to just guard against is overconfidence, which I'll be shocked if any team ever goes into a match overconfident against City. I mean, you can never be overconfident against City and a Pep team.
And they really need to sort out, Warner. He keeps going offside. I don't know why. He keeps wandering. Man.
No, the thing is, he is frustrated, but I also get frustrated with the players on the ball.
Don't play him, as in don't play him. You see him offside, don't play him.
No. But if you know you got Warner and he's gonna make the run straight away, send it straight away. But the thing is, they all dribble for 2 extra touches. So I think sometimes they need to adjust to Warner too. And the thing is, the moment Hudson-Odoi came on, he was the first player, even though he is normally a dribbler, who just got the ball and played Warner in, and it caused problems.
Adi, I'm going to speed you up because obviously
but it led to the goal. It led to the goal, the winner, and that's because Hudson-Odoi didn't dribble it. He just gave it as soon as he saw Warner making the run. Pulisic, James, everyone just held on for too long.
Takes 2 or 3 touches. Thank you, Adi, for coming on. I mean, good insight into the game. I mean, tactical changes from Pep and Tuchel. Yeah. So thank you, guys.
And I'm sure there'll be loads of differences in the final.
Like, share, subscribe, and yeah, thank you for watching.